The buyers always, they want the team to stay and they want the team to like them. So they give them a raise day one. And I see it time and time again. I did it. I just shouldn't have done it. I should have like given it 30 days. I should have just got my bearings, because what I ended up doing was overpaying them, like industry standard, way over industry standard. But I didn't research. I just gave them a raise.
I do see people that we sort of ask them, this business is very heavily reliant on key employees. How are you going to keep them around? And typically the answer is, day one, I'm going to give them a raise. My opinion is, how did it go as far as trying to transition and bring in the new, kind of the new series with changing the model up a little bit?
Yeah, so I'm a big advocate. I practice, I teach. Don't come in and just disrupt the whole, like if it's working, don't fix it. Don't come in and disrupt everything from day one. Like you just never want to do that to a business, okay? So unless it's a full-blown turnaround, then yeah, you got to fix it real quick. Do whatever you need to do.
You're listening to Before You Buy or Sell a Business, hosted by Jared Johnson, the top SBA lender in the country. On this show, we break down business acquisitions, talk to industry pros, and provide real-world advice for buyers and sellers.
Well, welcome back to Before You Buy or Sell a Business. Really excited today. I've got Christine McDannell on, and we're going to talk about something that not a lot of people talk about, and I'm really excited to bring this to listeners. So let's start with your background and how you got involved in the M&A world.
Yes. So I am a serial entrepreneur. I know that word gets thrown around a lot, but I have had multiple companies, been doing this for 22 years now. That's when I started my first company. But even as a little kid, I was selling candy bars out of my backpack and all that fun stuff. So I was born to be an entrepreneur for sure. So multiple companies, multiple industries, 10 startups. I've had too many, and I've done a lot of acquisitions, roll-ups, turnarounds in my career on my own. And then in 2021, I started the Magnolia Firm, M&A boutique brokerage firm. That's like my retirement plan. So have been doing that since 2021. Swore I would never buy another business. I would no more startups. I mean, every single friend, I'm even on podcasts. If you guys search my name, saying I will never own another business. I will never buy another business. I feel like most women love buying shoes, and I love buying businesses, but I swore it off 4 years ago. And then we'll tell the story about how I made the mistake to acquire a dance and fitness studio in Dubai. So a whole new country, a whole new challenge.
Cool. Yeah. Well, obviously you've got a very good background, and I wanted to make sure that, people realized that you were successful and you still are successful. So I saw a post on LinkedIn where you talked about failure and how a deal didn't go as planned and it wasn't successful like a lot of the other ones. And I immediately reached out and said, will you come on and talk about this, because not enough people are talking about it. And it's sort of been frustrating. Myself, I've had deals go bad. And a lot of times there's outside influences. The seller didn't provide what's supposed to, and so on and so forth. But so many people are afraid to talk about it. So maybe we could talk a little bit about maybe why you think that is and why you were willing to actually talk about it. And then we'll get into the full story of what happened.
I love that, Jared. And yeah, thank you. And you probably you have a different perspective, that you're seeing this through a different lens when you
Mm-hmm.
see with the seller and a buyer and what goes wrong, because you're kind of the outside looking in. So yeah, I mean, myself included. And yeah, Jared, you reached out by seeing, my 10-part series on LinkedIn that everybody's welcome to see, because, each part of the series, I'm taking like one big mistake and I'm elaborating on what I did wrong and what I would have done differently, because I do want people to learn. I learn from people's success stories, all these years, right? But I also learn from people's failures. So that's, I think it is important that people do this more. But that was my concern, was like, oh my gosh, Christine, like you do this for a living. Like this looks bad. Like you effed up your own acquisition. That's the title of this LinkedIn series. So I waited 2 months. I was very hesitant. Like I had the idea to do this series, but I just was like, it took me 2 months to, first off, I have like PTSD. So I had to get far enough from all of this explosion. I had to take 2 weeks in Thailand, and I had to come back to San Diego and just really, like, decompress because this all happened in Dubai. And then, yeah, but I've since so I was hesitant, and then I've since gotten podcast, invites for podcasts. I had another M&A advisor refer me a great client because I came up on his feed, and I'm like, "Wow, like, people this is great." So yeah, I think it is important for people to be vulnerable enough to not just boast about their successes, but also say, "Hey, I messed up. I'm human. This is what, this could be a teaching moment. This is what I did. This is what I wouldn't do again."
Yeah, I think it's great. I think there's definitely something to be said for people that are transparent. There's so many people that we see kind of running around saying, "Hey, it's great, buy a business. It's super easy." I even saw a post, I think it was on Instagram the other day, and it was a guy fishing, and he was like, "I bought 4 businesses and used SBA, and I barely had to put any money down, and they all operate themselves, and I get to go fishing." And I'm like, I wanted to comment on it so bad, like, BS. Like, there's no way that that works. And it's scary and it's sad because you have people out there that look at it and think, "Oh, I can just go use SBA lending and buy 4 businesses and then I just get to go fishing." Like, absolutely not. It does not work that way. Running a business is very difficult, and even finding one that you can acquire is difficult. And so it's getting frustrating for me, and I'm sure for other people in the industry that have actually done it. And my fear is that it's going to continue to become a problem or even ruin people's lives and their financial future. So I'm hoping that having people like yourself that are willing to be vulnerable and to talk about what did go wrong, people will realize that this is not super easy, that things can happen and can go wrong. And sometimes it's not even your fault. You could do everything the right way and something else, an outside influence could mess it up. So, again, I appreciate you coming on. So, maybe we can kind of jump into the story. Let's start on how you started this, why you decided to start or acquire a business in another country, and just kind of walk us through what happened.
Got it. And just to your point just now, you're right. That is a frustration of people making it look so easy, business in general, right? The second part of that, he's fishing, he's running 3 or 4 businesses, is the integration. Like, I get those calls, and again, I'm on the sell side, but I get a buyer that calls me and they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna acquire 10 companies this year and we're gonna do a whole portfolio of these digital marketing agencies." Which again, I think having a portfolio of digital marketing agencies that complement each other is brilliant. But I'm like, "Well, how like, what number will this be?" And they're like, "Oh, yeah, this is our first one." I'm like, "I don't think you know how hard," I know you're already smiling, "how hard the integration of just 2 acquisitions, the team, the HR, the structure, the systems, the software, like, it is so hard to acquire and merge just 2, and you think you're gonna do it 10 times over in 1 year." Like, I've never seen that done. I'd love to hear it if someone's done it in 1 year. So, yeah,
Well,
I
and
love
then you take it further and ask them, okay, and what kind of gives you the idea that you have the experience necessary to do this? And they're like, "Oh, well, I went to this master class and I watched this YouTube video." And I'm like, "So you've never even actually worked in the digital marketing space?" "No." "Okay, so sorry, this is probably not gonna work." Maybe there's somebody out there that you could drop into any business and they could figure it out and be successful. But again, to your point, if that's the case, you're gonna use that up and try to understand how to scale and do everything, and then you wanna go integrate another business within several months. Like, no, it's not gonna work. Sorry.
Yes,
So,
exactly, and then they do throw out, "Oh, well, SBA, I'll just get an SBA loan on all of them." And I'm like,
yeah,
They're not gonna let you do that."
no.
They're not gonna let you do that. But I'm a fan of SBA, right? And I think it's amazing that, our government can help lend money, and that is why we're the land of opportunity, the land of entrepreneurship. Like, I love, love, love that about America. And so to launch into the story, so year and a half, I moved over to Dubai, to the UAE. It's a city I'd visited back in 2014, fell in love with. It felt like I went to the future. It's 90% expats. So I think that's the big misnomer that, oh my gosh, it's such a conservative culture, et cetera. Well, no, it's people from around the world. It's just like so innovative and so open and so futuristic. So I was excited, moved there, loved the city, was there a year and a half. So March March 2024, and then just here in mid-September was when I like took off to Thailand for 2 weeks. I came back to San Diego, which I pretty much have grown up, have been here forever, just to just to chill, get some distance.
Yeah.
Put my stuff in storage in Dubai, so I'm not saying I'll never go back. I'm just really upset right now still. So we'll see if that wears off. I mean, I love the holidays there. It's a great season. It's great weather. So I'm sure regardless, I'm going to go back for like Christmas, New Year's. So I was going to a dance studio here in San Diego as a consumer that I loved. I loved the concept. It was so much fun. I was going all the time. And I have no dance background or anything. It was just a fun place to dance. And so the in Dubai, there was nothing like it. I was like, oh my God, this concept would kill it in Dubai. Like, and I still think that to this day. And so, but I had stopped myself for a whole year and a half. I'm like, no, don't, Chris, you said no more businesses, no more businesses. Like, again, you're working 20 hours a week and you're like, living this. I did work at night, obviously, because of the time difference. But so during the day, I had more free time. And so I think finally I saw this one come up for sale. I saw it online. I went to say it was walking distance from my house. It was in the area I wanted to be in. It was about mostly ballet studio. So I knew I'd have to kind of convert it to the concept I'd want it to be. And yeah, I saw the ad. Called them on the weekend. Hey, can I come see it? They said, hey, come see it Tuesday. I went on Tuesday. They had closed it down the day before. I don't know why they couldn't just wait. So I had to move so fast, which I move fast anyways, and I work off gut. But I had to move just extra fast because they had fired the team the day before. So I had to rehire the team. They were calling the clients in real time saying, we close. I was like, stop. Like, stop calling the clients. So I had to literally write the offer within 2 days and I had to take over operations that third day. So in the LOI states, I'll take over operations as we're working out the purchase agreement. So, agreed on a price, but all the other terms had to be fleshed out after I started operating it. So we turned everything back on. So that's what happened. That's the beginning. That's the story. The beginning of the
So,
story.
so you had to basically call the customers and say, just kidding. But by the way, I'm the new owner. Please come back and give us a shot. I'm sure that went over well.
Yeah, I mean, well, what I did was I did a fun video. So in Dubai, it's super unique. Everything runs on WhatsApp, and I love that. And
Hmm.
I kind of even your doctors. So when you go see your
Hmm.
doctor, they give you their WhatsApp. I mean, obviously it's like a work phone, but they're like, "Hey, WhatsApp me anytime." So any business in Dubai, you go to their website. There's the little green WhatsApp button. You just click it, and you're texting with somebody. You're not like emailing, waiting, etc. I do like a lot of stuff is very convenient there. So long story short, all the clients of that studio, they were texting, WhatsApping. So then I made a cute little video. Hey, I'm the new owner. I'm Christine. Like, I'm so excited. Yes, it closed down yesterday, but I just took it over. So excited to meet you. And my team, the front desk was texting that like to the same people they just said we closed. Like, so it was just this video more personalized that we sent of me to kind of get them excited, not scare them. So yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting how other countries seem to be, and you had mentioned it already that they're more futuristic, right? They're operating in a way that's easier. And I know I've seen that, like, maybe a couple of years ago, I went to Mexico and with some of my friends, and our room came with a butler, and he would text us on WhatsApp, and he would say, "What do you need?" And we would say, "This is what we want," and then it would show up wherever we were at. Even if we came home too late the night before, we were too loud, we'd have a message in the morning, "Hey guys, you're in trouble again," and we're like, sorry, like. And then it was funny when we came home, my friend Zach and I would still text him sometimes and just say hi to him and sort of to kind of mess with him. But he'd always, "Hey guys, I miss you." Like, so it was kind of fun. But it's very interesting that it's more efficient and you're getting direct line of communication. You're not clogging up calling on the phone. You're not standing in the lobby, trying to get something done. I don't understand why we seem to be ahead in so many ways, but some ways so far behind. So it's interesting. But
I
so
know. We'll get there. We'll get there.
yeah. So okay. So you essentially told the customers, come back. We're back open. So then what did you do from there as far as implementing kind of your concept and then what all was sort of the aftermath of them closing for essentially one day and then reopening again with you.
Yeah, so I mean, again, these are mistakes I would never let my clients do. So I'm like, why did I do this stuff? So, I still probably would have should have had so I had no idea the fees, and this is one of my LinkedIn posts, if ever I think it was number 3, if you wanna go back on the series, where I put a side by an actual invoice of how many licenses, fees, renewals, permits, trade license, how many different, like, legal items I had to file and pay for, totaling about $15,000.
Wow.
When in the US, it's about let's take California. Actually, in other parts of the US, it'd be like $200. I think in California, including this 800, state
Yeah.
franchise tax board fee, 800 to have an LLC in California. You got 800, you got like nominal fees for these other licenses. So it's like $1,000. And again, that's why there's so much opportunity in America. And I love that it's so cheap to like start a business. So yeah, I put side by side in cost of like in America, it's just a couple things. In the UAE, it's this whole list and it's $15,000 and it's like 1,000 or whatever. I would have researched the fee. I didn't know that. So I'd already bought the business. And then here's a bill of like, okay, it's $15,000 for the paperwork. So I should have researched the fees. I came in day one. I gave everybody raises from day one. I do see this often in acquisitions, even people that buy my companies, the buyer, and I'd love to hear if you've seen this or not. The buyers always they want the team to stay and they want the team to like them. So they give them a raise day one. And I see it time and time again. I did it. I just shouldn't have done it. I should have like given it 30 days. I should have just got my bearings because what I ended up doing was overpaying them. Like industry standard, way over industry standard. But I didn't research. I just gave them a raise. So do you ever see that, Jared, in your deals?
Yeah, definitely. A business that my wife and I bought, we did that, but the employee that we did give a raise had been there for almost 20 years and ultimately needed a raise. Was also trying to make sure she would stick around. The seller actually said, "Yeah, she's all right if you want to keep her, it might be a good idea." And then when I talked to her, I said, "So, how long have you worked here?" She said, "19 years." And I'm like, stopped and was like, "What?" Like, okay, hold on a second. Yeah, we need to talk. And, so it made sense to do that. But yes, I do see people that we sort of ask them, this business is very heavily reliant on key employees. How are you going to keep them around? And typically the answer is, oh, day one, I'm going to give them a raise. My opinion is sometimes, yes, it probably works, especially if they need to be brought up to maybe market and you're sort of stopping a future problem. But I also hear on the other side that a lot of times people walk into the business and the first thing that happens is the key employees walk into their office and go, "You're the new owner. You need me. Give me a raise." And so a lot of times when I'm having conversations with buyers about working capital, that's one of the things I explain to them that most likely can happen or will. And so I think the best approach is to say, okay, let's work together for 1, 2, 3 months, and then we'll talk about a raise. I want you to demonstrate to me that you are truly a vital part of this business, that you're going to fit within, maybe the new culture, that essentially you're worth me giving a raise to, and then we'll go from there. And I think that's probably the best way to do it. Now, if you do have somebody that is truly vital to the business, and they're going to walk out the door because they've got other offers and stuff like that, then maybe you need to adjust it. But I think walking in day one and across the board giving everybody a raise is going to be something that is going to get very expensive, and then also may set the standard that, oh, this person's got a bunch of cash, maybe we can keep going further and further, right? So yeah, it's interesting.
That's what I was gonna say, you read my mind. That's exactly what I was gonna say, and that's exactly what happened to me. Because not only did I here's this American coming in, give everybody a raise, I'm so nice, I'm such a great boss and a future boss, you're gonna love me. And then I put in hardwood floors that were expensive. So it was a brand new I took over a studio that had only been in business like 10 months, but
Mm,
the owner lived overseas, he was never there. So yeah, he just shut it down, spent a bunch of money and then shut it down. So everything was brand new, but I needed a certain type of floors for the type of dance we were going to introduce into that space, and the current floor wasn't working. So I had to put beautiful hardwood floors down in that space. So they just watched somebody give everybody a raise. They just watched her spend a bunch of money on a hardwood floor. And then they, everything under this. I need this. I want that. Hey, we need weights. Clients are requesting weights now for the workouts. I'm like, whoa, whoa, like I'm not made out of money. Like you guys see me coming in here. So it just was this sense of entitlement and, oh, she must have a lot of money. So let's spend it on her behalf. So you nailed it. I think I could have positioned that a little differently.
Yeah, it can, again, every situation's different, right? I mean, I was talking to somebody the other day who's been very, very successful and was explaining to me that he has a tax problem. And he's like, I'm going to have to pay a lot of money in tax this coming year. And I'm trying to figure out what to do. And I said, well, you can always buy a vehicle. It's over 6,000 pounds depreciated, all that kind of stuff. But what I was explaining to him was like, don't buy things because you want a tax deduction. That's like literally the worst thing you can do. People think that's what you should do. And he goes, well, I can't buy a new vehicle anyways. I have all the employees convinced that I'm barely scraping by. And I drive my old car, even though I'm making millions of dollars in net income every year. And I'm like, well, okay, well, I'm glad you're doing it the right way. It totally makes sense. But yeah, so sounds like you just have a tax problem. So,
No, you're right.
um,
Owners do that too. I've had friends that, they have the Porsche and I only see it on the weekends. I don't see it, in
oh
front of their
yeah.
employee. I'm like, hey, I didn't know you had a Oh, they're like, oh, I'm never going to let my employees see I have a Porsche.
Yeah, I feel like it's probably the right way to do. Yeah. Yeah, I had a story a long time ago, a title rep that I worked with, bought a newer like Camry, and I said, "Oh, cool, you got a Camry, like you got a new car." He goes, "Yeah," and then he tells me, he goes, "I backed it into a pole on purpose, right when I bought it, so that I could go into all the offices and say, oh, I already got hit by somebody and I need help. I need you guys to give me the title orders." And I'm like, aren't you like the most successful title agent? He's like, yeah, I make $2 million a year, but I can't let them know that. I'm like, oh my
Whoa, that's
gosh.
interesting.
So yeah, there's a whole like mindset with it. I think that's very interesting of trying to obviously show that you are successful, but then not to a point where people go, oh, you're doing so well, I don't need to send you business. And I've had people even tell me that, oh, you're the top SBA lender in the country. Well, I don't need to send you business. Then let's let other people have theirs. And I'm like, wait a minute, like, do I need to start lying and saying I'm struggling? Like, it's just, so it's a really weird thing. But so, all right, well, we'll get back to the story. So, you came in and put in the floors, gave everybody a raise. How did it go as far as trying to transition and bring in the new, kind of the new series with changing the model up a little bit?
Yeah, so I'm a big advocate. I practice, I teach. Don't come in and just disrupt the whole like if it's working, don't fix it. Don't come in and disrupt everything from day one. Like you just never want to do that to a business, okay? So unless it's a full-blown turnaround, then yeah, you got to fix it real quick. Do whatever you
Yeah,
need to do. Okay, so I didn't do that either. I kept the schedule exactly the same. I kept the classes which even there was ballet, like I don't want to offer ballet, but I also didn't want to disrupt that. So we continued offering ballet, same classes, same schedule. And then we added. So it's just like, okay, well, we're only just improving. Like now we're adding more classes and there are these fun classes like cardio dance and heels and all this fun stuff. So that I did right, but then frustrations came. These are kind of funny frustrations. I used to own a wellness spa. I started a wellness spa from scratch in San Diego. And so 2012 and then exit 2017. And I forgot this fun fact that I start the spa. I'm like, yeah, great, Christine. Now you're gonna get free massages and free facials, and this is gonna be amazing. It's not, it was never amazing because as the owner, you're laying there and you're like, oh my gosh, there's chipped paint, on the ceiling. Oh my gosh, I can hear people talking in the next room. Hey, I don't like her technique right now. It is the most unrelaxing situation. So I would go down the street and get my massages, etc. So I forgot about, I'm like, well, this is silly. So I forgot about all that. So now I'm taking dance. Now I buy a dance studio because I wanted to dance at a studio like the one in San Diego. And same exact thing. I'm like, oh no, here we go again. As the owner, I want everything to be perfect. So I'm like, okay, I don't like this. Instructor forgot to say, watch out for this or that. Like, it's an hour of me stressed out because it's everything they should not be doing. So, or just little things. And so, yeah, that was not fun. That was a little revelation I had forgotten about since 2017. Well, I think with business, I tell people this. I swear it must be like a relationship. Like when enough time goes by, then it's like you only remember the good parts of the relationship, right? So the business, I'm like, I only remember the good parts of having a customer facing business. I love the service industry. I loved having a spa. I love meeting the clients. Now it was like clients complaining, clients of the class schedule. Well, no, well, that time doesn't work for me. Like I take my lunch break at this time. I want to come and work
Mm,
out this time. And every client, if we were trying to make every client happy, like the whole schedule would change like by the hour. So it was just you couldn't make everybody happy. I think that, and again, I don't want to speak poorly on Dubai. It is a magical city, but another misnomer, but maybe it's not a misnomer now that I've lived it, was that, oh, everybody's very entitled there. It's very superficial there, etc. Well, I started seeing being in the customer service industry, I did start seeing massive entitlement. I mean, if they
mm,
couldn't find parking, they were screaming at us and it was our fault. And then they'd want us to credit them their class. And I'm like, that's not, it's like you can't find parking. We had a flood in the unit, which is a big nightmare. We had to close down for a week to get it fixed. And that was right when I was closing down the business. It was just a big mess. And so they then were, what was I going to say? They were mad at us because the flood happened. How am I
mm.
going to work out? Where am I going to work out? What are you going to do with my class schedule? Of course, we like froze memberships, of course, but it was just like, woof, it was a lot.
Yeah. So it sounds like there were just a lot of customer demands that were, extremely challenging to meet. And then from there, it just sort of turned into, did you just kind of realize that the model that you had wasn't bringing enough revenue when expenses had gone up, and then just trying to meet those customer demands were nearly impossible, it sounds like?
Yeah, it was a combination of a lot of stuff. So I bought the business at the worst possible time, not understanding what happens and I had already been there for summer in Dubai the year before. So I saw the summer, people do say everybody leaves. I didn't see as much as that as I thought. That summer, but I guess again, I didn't own a business. So owning a business in a very wealthy area of Dubai in DIFC, I mean, all those, and again, our studio was expensive. So the type of people that can afford to come to my studio are going to be able to afford to go to Europe for the whole summer. They're not going to stay in 100-degree, 110-degree heat if they don't have to. So even the clients that had classes on the books they were gone. Because we were even
Mm.
calling, checking what's happening. Hey, we miss you. Like, come back in. Oh, I'm in Europe for the summer. I'm in Europe. I bought the business in the end, like in May. So that was the
Oh.
whole summer I had the business from May to September, August 23rd. So that was a horrible mistake. So that hurt. It was profitable when I bought the business. But then I also believe, in research now, because again, I rushed due diligence on my end, but I posted it on on LinkedIn. One of my series is like, there were two separate Instagram accounts pouring in revenue. Like they were running two different Instagram accounts. That was their only source of marketing. But then the second one was out of another bank account. The second one, like I would never have seen the other one. So I see all this revenue coming in, but I don't see the expense line of the other ad account that was pumping
Mm.
in clients. So there was no way, even my SEO, I'm going to post on LinkedIn. He's so sweet. He sent a whole video because I'm like, maybe there was a tool, maybe there was some way on the back end because I'm a marketer, I'm a digital marketer. Could I have even caught that right in the due diligence part? And he was like, he made a little video I'll put on LinkedIn, like kind of walking people through it. He said it's really hard. He's like, it would have been really hard for you to ever uncover that.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've noticed over the last maybe 2, 3 years, that we've seen sort of an increase in deals going sideways, after the fact, has been there are a lot of items that they did not find. And I mean, you're talking about people that did quality of earnings, had really good legal, had people within the industry come in and look at it, have fractional CFOs, and they're still not finding sometimes items that a seller did not disclose. And sometimes it's not on purpose. The seller just kind of doesn't realize, oh, well, I, have these expenses over here that are taken care of by maybe another business or something like that. And then it's going to be transferred to the books after the fact, and the buyer had no clue. And then when they actually jump in and start running the business, their margin shrinks rapidly because they didn't realize that they had all these other expenses. And so again, there's not always something that you can find from doing proper due diligence, and you could sort of check every single box and then discover something later that you wouldn't really find unless you were actually in the business, operating the business for several months before you bought it. And that's, 99.9% of the time not an option. So yeah, that's interesting that it seems to have been something that squeezed your margin as well.
For sure, to the point of not being profitable. So
Yeah.
imagine you're acquiring a business that you see is very profitable, and then it's not profitable, it's upside down. So then that's a
Yeah.
massive problem. So let's talk about working capital. I know, and I should I have a whole, like, ongoing as I was even in the business, I was already, like, making notes of everything I did wrong or I would have done differently. So, one of the I'd say, but I haven't put them in an order yet of, like, what were probably the biggest ones, but I think this was the biggest one, was the working capital. So, and again, you're in this world, and I'm a bootstrapper by nature. So my first company, I started with $300, like in a
Oh,
vacuum
wow.
cleaner, which is my cleaning company. And I was like 23. So I like this one, I went too far in. So I jumped on it because it was a good deal, again, because I thought it was profitable. So I jumped on it, but I had to scrape, I had to drain my savings, I had to borrow, I had to I like just to buy the business. So that, but again, I thought it was profitable. So I'm like, okay, well, I don't necessarily need working capital because it's really profitable. So we're good on expenses. We're good at covering that. But again, that was not the case. So it was a $15,000 burn rate, USD for me each month. So
Oh,
that I
wow.
did not plan on, right? At
Yeah.
all. I thought we were going to be profitable 10,000 a month, not negative 15,000 a month. So that caused massive issues, like racing to find, and this is not an SBA situation because I'm in a different country. So
Yeah.
it's those crazy, like, hard money lenders, loan sharks, interest rate that I won't even say because I'll want to throw up, just to keep it going. Right. So
Right.
then I'm doing that all summer long. And that's and then that's when you try to decide, when do you pull the plug? Like, do you make it? Everybody's like, gosh, it'll turn in September, October. Everybody comes back from vacation. Just hold it, hold it, hold it. And I'm just like, I cannot, I am bleeding out so bad. Like, I cannot bleed out like another month or two. And you just have to, and it's unfortunate. You have to tell the clients again, the ones that just got told 3 months before. You have to fire the team again that had gotten fired already in May. It was not fun, not fun.
Yeah. So do you think if you would have walked into the business and understood at least, another 30-40% of what was going on, right? I mean, I guess first of all, you may have not acquired the business, but let's say you did, and let's say you had 100,000 in working capital. Do you think that it's like what the people were saying was accurate, that if you would have made it to October, November, December, that you would have rounded a corner and then been able to kind of work it back into profitability? Or do you think that at the end of the day, it just wasn't going to make it either way?
Oh, it's such a good question. I think that one, I would have taken the option, to be honest, in hindsight, of building from scratch. I was
Mm,
in a super that business I took over was in a very expensive rent. It was in a retail center, so the rent was extremely expensive. And so I would have still been walking distance from this very nice area, but I would have gotten like a warehouse space, and I would have done a conversion and built the dance studio the way I'd want to build it, because that one was not, it just wasn't my business model I had in my head for that year and a half, didn't fit that concept. It was too hard to
mm,
switch it out. I should just start from scratch. So that's a great question. Would we have rounded a corner? No. Like, honestly, I was even like, I'm like, I got to get out of this. And then maybe I go and do it the way I want from scratch. Like, that was one decision I was thinking of. But yeah, but you're just like, I was so exhausted and, like, put through the freaking ringer for 4 months that I just even if it was rounded a corner, I just was like, I couldn't do another day.
Yeah, so it sounds like the kind of the major things were rushing into the deal, right? Which you didn't have a choice, nothing you could do there. So you knew going in that you were sort of taking a gamble on if it would work well enough. But again, you were told that it was profitable and what you viewed was profitable. So but if you would have been able to do a normal, 45 days worth of due diligence, you may have discovered some more things or sort of realized, yeah, this is too high of rent and, I'm going to need a lot more working capital. And then maybe you would have pivoted and said, I'm going to open a business since they're failing already. Like, fine, let them fail. I won't have competition and I could go open something, couple blocks away that's going to be a third the price in rent or whatever and keep your expenses low. You would have maybe had a much better shot. But that's the challenge of trying to pick it up right where somebody else was closing down and you didn't have that option. So you kind of went with your gut, like you said, and did the best you could with it. But yeah, we at least now you're able to share the mistakes or what you could have done differently, so other people can learn from that as well, which is definitely something that we harp on people all the time. When someone calls me and says the broker's pushing me, I have to close this in 45 days, or they're going to take another offer, can you help me? Usually the first thing I'm saying is, okay, how much due diligence have you done? Well, no, we just started. We're going 100 miles an hour because the broker's saying I have to close. I usually tell them, sorry, I'm not going to be the lender for you unless this is, something you've done before multiple times and you've exited all those and you want to go do it again and you know what to look for. It's not going to work when you're going way too fast. You're going to miss things. Why are they trying to go so fast? Most of the time, it's just because the broker wants to sell the business, and so does the seller, of course. And you're really not going to have adequate time to look through and see, where are the skeletons in the closet? Is this really something that's going to work for me? And so I try to get people to stop all the time and take a second and look around, but you know,
No, that makes sense, and again, I didn't know the industry, so I was going off of, I've done so with my spa, I did 3 little acquisitions and rolled them in, right? So, 3 other spas, smaller ones than mine. So, I went in same day, and one had just closed. I sat with the owner. I took a pad of paper because 'cause I'm still old school and, like, jotted down. I asked her, "How many clients do you have? Let me pull up your P&L." Walked around her space. I'm like, "I'll give you this much right now." Like, that fast, right? And the person and it wasn't even listed for sale. And I've done that multiple times where it's literally same day offer
hmm,
because I know my numbers so well
right,
on that industry. I know
yeah,
client acquisition. Okay, you told me you have this many clients. Like, it would cost me quadruple that in marketing to get that client list. Like, here, I'll give you 15 grand or whatever amount for the acquisition. That was a baby acquisition. And they're just taken aback. And those have worked. I've made my money over tenfold, a hundredfold. So, like, of course, one had to fail. Like everybody's like, "Oh, how
yeah,
far in did you go on this?" And definitely went in low six figures, but I'm just like, yeah, but in the scheme of things, it's like playing in a casino, right? Like, I'm definitely ahead. Like, you look at the last 22 years, I'm fine. That was not anything compared to what I've made. But yeah, it's like the casino, right? At some point, you're gonna lose. But like
yeah.
overall, your history, how did you do? So yeah, that I shouldn't have rushed. Again, those all worked out, but again, because I knew the space. So I should not have rushed not knowing the industry, kind of like you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, if you always hit on 16 when you're playing blackjack, then you usually always hit on 16 unless you're counting cards and you know what's left in the deck, then you make a decision. So, kind of the same thing. If you understand the industry, then you know whether or not you should hit on 16. So,
Yeah,
it makes
exactly.
sense. But
That's a good
cool.
analogy. You must be a
Yeah.
gambler like I am.
No, I mean, I'll play blackjack if I have a chance, but it's been a while, so been trying to be better about, saving money. So, it's funny. But, okay, so, you obviously decided, "Hey, this isn't gonna work. I'm closing down again, let the clients know and everything." Do you think you'll eventually go back and maybe open one the way you want? Is it too soon to talk about that? It's let us know what you think, or are you going to focus on all the other things that have been successful for you?
It's so funny. So I'm back in San Diego dancing at my favorite dance studio, and I'm dancing. I'm having
There
fun.
you
I don't
go.
care if the instructor's saying the wrong thing. I'm like, this is not my business. Like genuinely, like I've been back in San Diego for a month now, and I was just there the other day, and I'm like, oh, this is so much fun. I don't own it, so yeah. I mean, I know I should put the same thing out there, but I might have to pay a lot of checks. Maybe just with you, Jared. I'll say this deal. So with one of my mentors, I've had partnership. Again, I've owned so many companies and I've definitely done partnerships, but of course they've never worked, good terms. Actually, I mean, at dinner with my last business partner tonight. So, but it is just not my thing. Right. And it's more me than them. So I just work better, alone, do my own thing. And so my mentor of 15 years, he's like, you always say you're not going to business partners anymore. And then you do, years go by and you do it again. I go, Henry, I will write you a $10,000 check if I have another business partner. And like, I put it in writing. So I'm like, hold me to this, and this was like 2 years ago. I still don't have business partners. So I'm holding my word. But yeah, Jared, how about that? If I, this one I'm worried about though, because it's like, sometimes being a business intermediary, I see businesses every day.
Oh
Like
yeah.
some are like steals. So yeah, I better not say, because what if it was something like so easy for me to do passively? And I don't know. Okay, I'm not gonna say it. No dance studio. I would say no to that because I think there are complexities that, again, being customer service facing employees, all that. Like, I'm just very spoiled with my firm. It's very, very boutique. It's 1 to 2 team members, part-time, like, they're great. I think I just have this, like, charmed life that I need to just keep reminding myself of, like, "Don't mess this up." I've had enough 90-hour weeks, 37, 40. I've had close to 40 employees at a time.
Oh
So
wow.
having 1 to 2 is nice.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, I think maybe part of it is if you enjoy going to the dance studio and it's exercise is obviously extremely important. Like, don't ruin it by becoming the owner of it. Eh, a couple of guys and I bought a boat manufacturer back. It's almost been 10 years now. And I loved the boating industry. It was something I did with my family. I really enjoyed it and everything. And then once you actually own something in the industry and you see how bad the industry is and how tough it is with manufacturing, and there was a lot of things that were needing to be fixed and cleaned up in the business and stuff, it sort of ruined it for me. And now when I look at a boat, that's like the first things I think of. Right? I don't think of like fun memories with my kids jumping in the water. I think of like all the tough days and nights and trying to, get out from under debts and all these things in the industry. Ended up being successful and exiting successfully, but I still just can't get over it from a certain standpoint. But people are like, when are you getting out of the boat? I'm like, never. Like that's like a first answer. So maybe you stick to it that way. You enjoy exercising that way and let's not ruin it.
And never, but I'll pay you $10,000 for this. I will never own another business in the UAE, in Dubai.
There
No
you
way.
go.
It was 5
Yeah.
times more expensive, 5 times harder. Permitting, restrictions, regulations. I mean, to renew, okay, I talked about the 15,000 to do all this stuff. That's every year. That's whether or not you make a single dime. You are paying 15,000, 10 to $20,000 to renew all your licensing to keep your business open. And they did now do 9% corporate tax, right? Just recently, of course, they start taxing people now that they've gotten, they got everybody sucked into living in Dubai and zero tax, and now they're going to charge. I mean, it's corporate tax, and again, Americans still have to pay tax regardless, and there's no such thing as double taxation. So if I did pay 9%, obviously that comes off my tax. I'm not going to pay double here, but Jared, hit me up if you find out I bought, started any kind of business in the UAE. 10 grand
All
in your
right.
pocket.
Sounds good. Well, I really appreciate you coming on and telling your story. I always ask two questions at the end. So, first one, you sort of already answered, but we'll just kind of run through it anyways. Is do you have a mentor, or have you ever had a mentor? I think you already mentioned you did, but maybe you could talk a little bit about that and kind of what that means to you.
Ooh, Ooh, great question. The collection of books that actually are in store that I've paid to have in storage for a year. I mean, you're talking like a floor to ceiling, custom made bookcase. I'm obsessed with books. And then every time I keep moving overseas to different countries, I pay to put them in a storage. So they're sitting in a storage here in San Diego. I think finally I'm going to donate them. Like those are my mentors without a doubt. I like if I look at the book, I remember the exact like business strategy that made me how much money. Like I just look at that book with that feeling of like, oh my God, it was this strategy from this book that made me this amount of money. That's why it's hard for me to let go of the books. Henry Evans for sure, at least 15-year mentor, good friend of mine here in San Diego. Actually, I need to go visit him. I haven't seen him in a bit. So yeah, I mean, just so many quotes and things he taught me that ringing in my head daily. I tell me there's just these things he told me that I remember. And so everybody listening, watching, mentorship is so important. But now YouTube has kind of been my mentor. Like
Mm.
all these podcasts, it's so much easier these days. Yeah, because I'm dating myself with my actual books on a shelf thing. Sorry, guys. But now YouTube, the hours, like when you see my iPhone usage, YouTube off the charts, and that's not goofing around. That's me listening as I'm driving, listening like constantly. I am like learning off of YouTube. I love it because it's any topic. I could just type it in real quick and then listen and get educated and have that mentorship with just a couple clicks on a phone, right? And you're driving and I'm in the shower, anything. So it's a great question. So I'm a big I didn't go to university, right? So my college degree is like my books and my all my learnings and all my conferences.
That's great. Yeah. So you're just continuing to be a student over and over again. So, all right. So outside of the business that didn't make it, you've been successful. So what motivates you? What keeps you going?
Ooh, that's a great question. I love business. I love deal making. It's like an art, as you know, it's an art and a science. So every deal can be done a million different ways, right? Every offer is different. So it's not like apples to apples. I always say it's like apples to a carrot to a candy bar. Like you have three offers on the table that are so different in terms, pricing, the buyer themselves, etc. So yesterday, our largest listing, just not going to it was two people like battling, two sets of amazing buyers, husband, and wife. And it was just so hard to tell the other set yesterday that
Mm.
it got signed. You know, we got all cash, full price, closing in
Wow.
less than 2 months. So this guy just couldn't, like he was, having to get financed.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was just no way. And it was hard. He got it. He understood. But like, that's what keeps me going every single day. I love doing deals, meeting people. Even before this podcast, I hung up with somebody. She exited a beauty company, a big one. Private equity bought her out a year and a half ago. So we were just like chatting business. I'm like, that is so awesome. Like, and she's having a great experience with PE. I had to jump on this podcast. Otherwise I'd probably still be talking to her about her deal. Cause she's like, no, I've got a great relationship with them. I'm like, well, that's rare. I want to learn more. So yeah, I might bring her on a podcast actually,
Cool.
because you've probably heard the horror stories too. When an owner gets, private equity comes in, rips the whole company apart and
Yep.
dismantles it. But no, she said, year and a half in, and she has a great relationship with them. And so, anyways, so see, that's me. I could talk about deals all day long. I love it.
Yeah, me too. I totally get it. So I'm glad that it keeps you motivated, keeps you going. So where can people find you and find your firm?
Yeah. So Christine McDannell on LinkedIn. I'm easy to find on LinkedIn and I'm very active, super active on there. So send a connection request. Would love to connect with you there on LinkedIn. Otherwise, the firm, the magnoliafirm.com. And if you type in the Magnolia Firm, we're everywhere. Even on GPT, on Chat GTP, we are popping up when people look up for
Cool.
M&A advisory firms, which is super interesting. So I'm
Yeah.
like, great. So just search the Magnolia Firm anywhere you want.
All right, cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And hopefully we can talk about some deals that were successful in the future. And again, I appreciate you coming on and being vulnerable and talking about what some other people don't want to talk about. It's been great.
Of course, Jared. This was great. You're a great host. I
Oh,
appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Thank you all for listening to Before You Buy or Sell a Business. If you found value in this episode, please follow the show, leave a positive review, and share it with someone. For more information, check out jaredwjohnson.com. We'll see you all next time.